You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks. We are back, and we've got a great one for you tonight. We are looking at the 5th story of the new season of Doctor Who. Can't believe we're 5 episodes in. We're already past the halfway mark, folks. We are looking at the story in the engine, and this one is going to be interesting to talk with everyone about. I'm very curious to hear what everybody's thoughts are, or, what they thought of it, how it ties into mythology, how it ties into Doctor Who lore. And there's a lot of little things I noticed on the second watch that we're going to have to talk about tonight. And we got a great crew to talk about it. We are joined by newbies with us. So let's welcome for the first time to the show, producer Amy Lynn Best and writer Mike Watt. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Nice to be here.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourselves?
You first.
We're filmmakers outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've been around forever. I've written for Femme Fatale and Fangoria, and we run Happy Cloud Pictures and Happy Cloud Publishing. And
we run Exploitation Nation, which is a movie magazine zine, and yeah,
and yeah,
directors, female directors in indie horror. So she paved the way for a lot of people. So it's I'm very proud of that for her.
Oh, that is awesome. And we will have links to your stuff in our show notes, so people on the podcast could also check it out. And we'll also have like little, when we say our goodbyes, we'll have our credits roll with your links on it and such, so people will be able to see and everything. So it's pretty cool. So welcome to Earth Station Who, and gladly you volunteered. Well, being on the show basically volunteers you to be our victims this week in the Whovian Geek Seat. And this is the first time we're doing 2 folks in it. It's going to have to be extra large for the chair tonight. So I think it's going to be a ton of fun to do. But welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. And of course, let's say hi to our regulars this week. Let's start with Mr. Howdy himself, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
Ms. Melody Dean is back.
Hello, Whovians. Let's talk some Who.
And last but never least is Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
Remember, folks, we definitely are going to be spoiling the hell out of this episode tonight. So if you haven't seen it, put us on pause. It's not that hard to do, as we like to say. And, watch it. You're missing out on some great Doctor Who. So we are going to talk all about it, and we are going to spoil the hell of it. So, as River Song likes to say, warning, spoilers, darling.
How exciting! Spoilers!
So it should be a ton of fun to do. So with that being said, if you'd like to write us, and we did get a little bit more email from a new person tonight, so we'll read that at the end of the show. So definitely feedback at Earth Station Who is the best way to get in touch with us. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. All right. There is no real Doctor Who news. I found that you could pre-order on Amazon. God, Amazon comes up almost every week on the show. They should be paying us advertising for this and everything. But the Peter Cushing movies, Blu-ray, 4K, on 4K are coming out at the end of June. So definitely worth checking out. I ordered my copies today, so I think that would be a ton of fun. Mr. Mike, did we ever review those up here on the podcast?
We did.
I thought so. Because
it's been a long time, though.
I know. I thought it was like early on after we did the initial run of Regeneration stories. I think we did.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to look and see when we did it. But yeah, I know that we've done them because I know that I've seen them. And usually I don't, have
Right.
time to watch Doctor Who for pleasure.
Yeah. Every time you watch Doctor Who should be for pleasure, my friend. You know
It
that.
is. It is.
Yeah. But because I wasn't sure if we did it up on this podcast or back on Earth Station 1 when we did that.
I'd have to double check.
Yep. And so, if not, we might be doing that on the show again. So it would be awesome to do because they're fun movies. And Peter Cushing as the Doctor was pretty darn awesome. So definitely worth checking out. All right, folks, I think it is time for the Whovian Geek Seat. So, Amy and Mike, are you ready?
I think so.
Hold on. Wait. What? Yes, now I am.
Okay. Now, he had to wait a second just to decide in his mind.
Just to make sure.
Okay. The way we'll do this is you guys decide if you both want to answer or, point it. You do it, I do it. Whichever way you want. We're pretty flexible on the show. So, the first question in the Geek Seat. Who was your guy's first Doctor?
My first Doctor was Tom Baker.
Okay.
Because he was the first one that PBS ran. Our local station though didn't run them in order, so I'd get the Talons of Li Feng in one, and I'd get iRobot in another. So we wouldn't get them in order. So I had no idea what was going on for most of my life.
Gotcha.
Got back again.
I think my first Doctor, was Matt Smith. I know I came into it really late, but it was because friends of ours were at the house and they were really excited about it. So we decided to watch it because they were excited about it. So,
were you instantly hooked with it, or?
Yeah, I have seen older episodes of Doctor Who throughout my life when I was younger and everything, and I remember. I always say famously when we were in was it Dublin or London? No, I forget.
Oh, when they had the building of the Empire State.
Yeah, the building of the Empire State with the Daleks. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were as we were kind of just chilling in our hotel room, and it was neat for some reason to be over there watching Doctor Who.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
At ground zero, because you can't go more than 10 feet without seeing something Doctor Who related in London. So it's
totally true. I totally see that. It's literally in your face there, and everything. So yeah, it's like, wait, isn't that the scene where they filmed blah, blah, blah? Oh, wait, isn't that where the Cybermen were coming down the stairs? Or, so yeah, I totally could see that. That's pretty cool. Which Doctor would you want to travel with?
No, I'm thinking.
Oh,
because I know all of them.
Honestly, I think the current Doctor, because I'm liking the way he's changing clothes. That's
good answer. That is really good. So you like Shooty's Doctor?
They're having fun with that big closet that's always been hinted to.
Mm-hmm. They're taking advantage of that. Basically a building full of clothes that they can change into. You know, so. And I love that his hair even changes, And we saw a lot of that tonight. We'll get into that in a bit.
He really embraced it, yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, anyone other than Five, I never connected to Peter Davidson. I'd hang out with Sylvester McCoy in a sec, I'm sorry, Seven. I would hang out with Seven in a moment. I'm a big fan of 10. Not so much 14, oddly enough, but yeah.
Really?
But I really do like 13. I really liked Jodie Whittaker, and I wish that she had better circumstances, because I think if she had some great standalone episodes, because she was fun. She was fun to be around.
Very much so, and that counts as our very first Chibnall Bash of the night. So there you go. So
Dang.
Exactly. So that's awesome.
A bad on Chibnall. It's just I think he was hindered by his own petard, and not so much hoist by it, but I think he was hindered by it.
No, I think that's good. That is awesome. So you actually kind of hinted at the next question already. Which Doctor would you not want to travel with?
Yeah, definitely 5. 1, unless he was played by Filch. But yeah, the Colin Baker six can kind of sit aside as well.
Yeah, I'm not up on 1 through 8, but the rest of them I would travel with. I think I can't think of one that wouldn't be at least somewhat fun. Although, I think it was definitely David Tennant 10 who yelled the most at everybody, but they deserved it.
Oh yeah.
They really.
Oh yeah, that was the wrathful doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then afterwards he goes, "I'm sorry. I am so sorry." So, okay.
And Don Hurt the War Doctor didn't travel around, right? So he wouldn't. He just seemed like he'd be. Yes, you would want to sit with a pint with him and have a pint with him afterwards after he destroyed 3 galaxies.
Yeah, details. Yeah, it's definitely. What geeks you out the most about Doctor Who?
I like the way they can go anywhere and do anything. I really do. I know the joke is they're always in 18th century London, but I mean, this last episode with having the shop where it was, I don't know when we spoilers or anything, but yeah, just being able to just seeing what the minds come up with, that they're really, especially with effects nowadays, there's not a lot of restriction. So
sure,
it's really interesting to see what everybody comes up with.
Oh, cool.
From a pure science fiction standpoint, I like that it stays that it remarks upon the times, that like it always did, like the original Star Trek did. It's Doctor Who is never static, and I think that the fact that it angers people who have their rose-colored glasses on are they
no pun intended there, right?
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well, if we're gonna go there are very few words in the English language that won't be called out.
That's
the
true.
Doc is always going to come down with the secret word.
Exactly. Say the secret word, get a prize. Exactly. That's awesome. Awesome. What turns your geek off about Doctor Who?
Fans.
That's what I was just thinking. A lot of the fandom of it, we try to stay away from it because it can get really like all fandoms. I'm not picking on Doctor Who fandom specifically.
No, they're not as bad as Star Wars fandom.
But yeah, it gets really nasty for no reason.
I like to hang out with people who like things. That's when we were fans growing up, fans were people who liked shit. Oh, sorry.
You can curse on the show.
Oh, thank God I can't say hello without cursing.
Yeah, exactly. See, you already did, so it's perfect. There you go. No, number one answer on the show is the fans.
Yeah.
And everything. And it's getting very toxic in some places. And I've actually had to leave some of the Facebook groups because of it. And it's just like, yeah, it's kind of sad.
I like that Davies took the brakes off. I like the last season and this season. Like, these are the stories I'm going to tell about these specific people. And if you don't like it, tune in next week. We're not dealing with marginalized anymore. We're promoting all stories.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that he just threw himself in the beast mode for that. I hate that phrase. That's the only one that comes to mind,
No, it totally makes total sense. Which Doctor Who companion would you want to travel with the most?
Her name just went out of my head. The Doctor. From that standalone episode when they were on a plane.
Martha?
Oh yeah, Martha.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Couldn't get to her for some reason. I couldn't remember. I like Martha a lot. I thought she was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Tegan doesn't get up. No, God. Can you imagine being stuck with Tegan for like, I just want to go home. Shut up.
Probably the next question.
That's your answer to the next question. I can already tell. No.
Jamie doesn't get enough love.
Well, Jamie is pretty amazing. So that was my answer when I did it. All right. Which Doctor Who villain would you like to meet the least?
The guy who was made out of teeth.
Oh yeah.
What was his name? Tony?
Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw.
Exactly.
Or some of the
but you call him Tony, so it's okay.
who were the bubble wrap people in the Tom Baker era?
Which time?
Towards the end, where everyone was kind of bored.
Okay.
You just have to be lame and say a weeping angel.
Oh well, they actually bug you.
They really do freak me out. I can't play the Lego game without getting scared sometimes.
It's not just the Catholicism either. They're genuinely scary.
Oh, anytime that when my son was growing up, anytime we went past a nursery or a garden shop, it was like, Dad, don't blink. Whatever you do, don't blink. And everything. So yeah, the angels could be very, very scary. So no, that's understandable. What was your favorite Doctor Who geek out moment? Where you just went, oh my God.
I was trying to think of this earlier.
I got one.
Okay.
I really loved when the Master and Missy met. When the two of them met together and ended up annihilating each other. I would watch an entire season of just the two of them having dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Just those two characters. And I like the picture of Susan that he had on his desk. That older guy, eyebrows.
Capaldi.
Yes, I like that. That was the first acknowledgement for forever, I think. So I like that they're going back to the older Easter egg seasons.
No, I totally get that. All right. What was your most disappointing geek out moment with Doctor Who?
Go ahead.
You can't honestly. When 13 morphed into 14, I just felt like I know what you're gonna do. You need to ease in all the white people. You need to make sure that we're all comfortable with a vaguely gay David Tennant before we leap into 180 degrees opposite. I thought we could have just gone from 13 to 15 without. I didn't think there wasn't any thread that I really needed solved with him going back to 14, and it really did feel like we're gonna tiptoe around this until we really take the brakes off.
Well, understandable. Amy, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any disappointing moments. I mean, again, being a casual viewer, I don't get into I don't get into the episodes as much, but I don't feel as disappointed by them either. Then, so
okay, that's fair.
Like Dalek or Cyberman game.
Yeah, okay. I did start getting disappointed during Matt Smith's era when all of the villains, it was either a Dalek or a Cyberman, and it was like, okay, I like the Daleks, I like the Cybermen, but can we have a different?
Just anybody else at this point.
All right, are you ready for your final question in the Geek Seat?
Sure.
All right, you guys have been sweating it so far, but you've been doing great. You guys are doing good. All right. What or who would you like to see on Doctor Who?
I honestly, I want to see an episode where the IT squad guy, Richard Ayoade. I want to see Richard Ayoade as a future Doctor. Now that they're doing all the past Doctors that she doesn't remember and hasn't been, I think we need where he was a future one, and just to show up as a one, even if it's just one of their World Aid sketches. He needs to come off as the 32nd Doctor Who or something like that.
Yeah,
it'd be kind of cool. Okay, Amy.
I was thinking about that, and honestly, I think Gillian Anderson I would like to see on there.
There had been rumors for years that she was going to come on the series as the Ronnie. So
that would be. I mean, where's the Ronnie been all this time? Everyone else has come back so far, except for the Chamberlain and the Ronnie.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So who's Mrs. Flood going to be?
Spoilers. So it'll be very interesting to see, if any of that comes true. When you started saying, IT, I was like, oh, don't say the IT crowd. No, or something like that.
Oh, I like Richard Ayoade.
I was going to say, because it'd be weird, Doctor, save the universe. Did you try turning it on and off? Exactly.
Yeah.
So It's interesting. But no, these are great answers. And I've got great news for you both. You've made it through the Geek Seat. Congratulations. You're both true Whovians.
Thank you.
Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young folks what they won.
You have won a lifetime subscription to Doctor Who.
Yay!
Yay.
All right, so our eyes will not be plucked out at the end of this episode. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No, but your hair will grow miraculously from this episode.
At my age, I'll take it.
Awesome, folks. And if you at home would like to take a shot at the Geek Seat like these two fine folks did, please drop us a line, feedback@earthstationwho.com. We would love to have you on the show. We definitely love meeting new folks, and it's also a great way to meet your fellow Whovians. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment, and we are going to be talking all about the story and the engine.
Howdy! A new year means it's time for a new season of the DragonCon Report.
We're here to help you plan, learn more about the con, and make the most of your trip.
From guest announcements to tips for navigating the con, we've got you covered.
Catch the latest episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
Because DragonCon is better when you're ready for it.
The DragonCon Report, your ultimate guide to the con of all cons.
Subscribe now and start your adventure.
Welcome back. Now we are going to the 5th episode of Doctor Who this season. Man, 5 already. I don't want this to end. I don't want to go. No. Oh, wait. Sorry. I was channeling Tenet there for a second. We're talking about the story and the engine. And it, of course, features the 15th Doctor. And it also, of course, has Belinda Chandler as the companion. And this story is written by Inua Ellams, and I'm sure I still mispronounced it, folks, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure we all did.
Take a drink, as we like to say on the podcast. Please, it's interesting with this one. I loved the folklore it touched on. It touched on so many different levels in this story, and I had to watch it twice already because I missed half the things because I was just, my jaw and my mind was going so many different places with this one. And I'm going to be very curious to hear what these fine folks have to say about it. So basically, let's see. First, Mary, what were your initial thoughts on this?
I love this episode. There are some flaws, but mostly because I think there was an awful lot crammed into not enough time. Which made some issues with the pacing, which I think is something that's happened this whole season, actually. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think I loved seeing stories from another culture. I love that they really immersed themselves in that culture rather than just playing lip service to it. I think that I really hope Inua Ellams, or I'm so sorry, I'm butchering your name, comes back.
Welcome to my club.
Yeah, because what a wonderful storyteller. And a whole different feel to the story, a whole different tone, just to have another voice that to be celebrated in that way.
Mm-hmm. You could also tell he's a Doctor Who fan.
Oh,
also.
Yeah, he was really immersed. I thought he wrote the Doctor and Belinda both really well, and the interactions between them.
Exactly. Melanie, your thoughts?
I agree with Mary in that this was very much a jam-packed story. And it had a lot of good things. And for me, I kind of wish that some of it could have been trimmed out just to let it have a little bit more breathing room for some of the characters that were trapped inside the room with them.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it's like the parts that I would have wanted to cut out, I'm like, I really liked the world, just a little bit of the world building of Shooty going through, the Doctor going through the village, the area, seeing all the people, all the vendors and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't feel like a bottle episode in this little tiny barber shop. But yeah, no, it was brilliant. It was different, and it was one that I did want to watch again because there's just so many facets going on. So
Exactly.
I really liked it. And there was a lot of what I can't wait to hear people saying fan service. That's what you're writing for, is for me, damn it. So I love pieces and nods that we got to see. And Murray Gold showing off that
Murray Gold was fantastic.
Murray Gold was on full power this one.
He's like, oh,
he outdid himself.
Yes, he did. Okay. Mike W., what about you? What are your thoughts? Initial thoughts?
I personally love anything that doesn't cater to me, that doesn't say, hey, white guy, this is for you. I love seeing different cultures and being told different stories. I have a passing knowledge of the myths that they were referencing, the Ansansi myths, and I'm going to drop a name that we probably would rather not, but it felt very Neil Gaiman in a lot.
Very much so. Yes.
And not from the colonialization point of view that he had. It felt very much like this was someone from that region telling me this story. And it felt genuine. And the parts that I didn't understand, well, that's on me. I have to go and find out why I didn't connect to that. No. And I'm very pleased with it.
Very cool. Amy?
I have to agree. I really liked the episode. The Doctor was great. His empathy towards everybody, I think, really does help this Doctor out a lot. Yeah, a lot more than the other Doctors having the empathy. But yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I really like the barber. I think he was a great character. He was probably one of my favorites this season. So
okay.
Odd Gods, yeah.
Well, I found it interesting that he was trying to pass himself off as a god, and he just ended up being a human storyteller who wanted revenge on the gods
because he didn't get top billing.
Exactly. You're never going to get top billing over a god. So or as they said in Ghostbusters, if anyone ever asks you if you're a god, say yes. All right, Mr. Gordon.
I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I think it's probably the most, or I should say the least, Anglo-centric episode or story we've ever had on Doctor Who. Ever. And that's a good thing. Anybody who thinks that's not a good thing doesn't need to be watching this show. And I don't mean this podcast.
Well, we just lost our 5 listeners right there. Thanks, Mike.
Because this is what I wanted. This is what I want from Doctor Who. I want, Amy said that, during the Geek Seat segment, she said she likes it because it can do anything. It can go anywhere from any different perspective. And, I think we've gotten we get a little complacent with how, we just get really one perspective. And this was groundbreaking, but it wasn't completely, despite that, it wasn't, as Mike pointed out, there's certain parts of it that that I had to use my brain for or connect with or research or whatever. But I love that. I love the fact that it, everything wasn't spoon fed, and it still was focused on something that I could really identify, which is storytelling, the writer wanting credit for his work, like just simple things like that, but taken to the extreme. I just really appreciated all of that. Yes, it's very meta, but in a lot of ways, that's the running theme, I think, this season, right? So we'll see how it all ties in. But I'm really glad that they didn't force it to be like he wasn't a member of the Pantheon. We weren't talking about the Pantheon gods. We weren't like the Pantheon wasn't mentioned at all, which I loved.
I was afraid during this episode the whole time that it was going to Harbinger was going to pop up. Or
it would have been so easy, right?
Yeah.
Because here we're talking about gods and everything and godlike figures, and it would have been so easy to tie this in with the Pantheon, but thank you, Russell T, for not doing that. I know that in the past there was a couple of episodes that they tried to jam into that sort of that structure, that theme, but it just didn't work. And I'm glad they didn't do that with this. But I'm glad that they're looking at mythology and folklore in addition to science fiction. Western African folklore in particular in this one is just really, and the production values on this were just top notch. Yeah. You would think they actually filmed in Nigeria. It felt so authentic in some ways.
The animation alone in this from the storyboard was all like stop motion animation right there. And it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And as the stories were being told, it being shown on the screen, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. I was afraid in this episode that it was going to be a Belinda Light story and that she was going to be stuck in the TARDIS the whole time. And they easily could have done something like that. They've done it in the past with other companions. Oh, you just wait here for me to come back. And, and the Doctor would, I'll explain everything to you later. And, but she played a pretty big role in this, and I loved it. And, and I loved how it featured, the Doctor having a friend, the Doctor, saying, there's many places on this planet right now with my look that I'm not welcome, but here I am. And I loved the interaction that when they showed him walking through the market, when they showed him, going to see his friend at the barber shop. And it was really, really well done. And I thought it made me feel like I was not watching Doctor Who. It was like watching, African fiction. African, based, and it just happened to have a character in it called the Doctor, and I loved it. And I loved it when the Doctor opened the barbershop door and he almost got sucked into the Nexus. That was awesome. And the giant spider ship, that was just so frippin' cool. There were so many things just to like about it, and and technically, the barbershop was almost the TARDIS in itself in some ways. And, there was just so many moving parts and so many great things. And I agree. I liked the character of the barber, but I also liked how, Ncuti's Doctor was calling him on his BS. It's like, no.
Or laughing at him.
Yeah, literally.
That's great.
To his face.
Yeah. Don't ever laugh at a writer. That's not a good that's not that's not a good thing. Good things don't happen. Good things don't happen there. But yeah.
I thought it was we get for the first time the idea of Ncuti's Doctor's anger. We haven't seen. Well, Whittaker would get righteously outraged, but it was always Tennant that got on his moral high horse. And then,
Capaldi's Doctor had a lot of anger, and then there was also Matt Smith's. Because you had Matt Smith going, ugh, but then when you got him angry, boy, watch out.
Just that flash, but the idea of it was so contrasted. I remember the line of Capaldi saying, "Yes, you betrayed me, but do you think I love you so little that would matter?" To Ncuti saying, "Don't ever speak to me again."
Oh, when he was talking to his friend who owned the barbershop, at the betrayal. Oh, the anger in his face. This is the first time we've seen that and everything. And we did not get any crying. We got tears in his eyes, but they were tears of anger.
But they stayed there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't
No,
come
no
falling
one
down the
shot
chute.
of the single tear.
Yeah, no, no
falling
shot of a single tear.
down.
Yeah,
No.
and the camera cuts away, and it's subtle. He brushes it off, but I don't. They're not tears of anger. They're tears of hurt,
Betrayal.
Frustration.
Yeah.
yeah, hurt and betrayal. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, he's angry,
completely.
but he's also, I mean, that was something that we'd never seen before. I think we'd seen, people calling the doctor to save them all the time. This is the first time the doctor actually calls someone on that. Like, why did you call me? So that because I'm expendable, like that. That was pretty. That was pretty biting, and I really appreciated that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't just calling on him to help them. They were going to abandon him there and run away.
Yep.
And
Yes.
leave him to deal with it.
And that's
exactly.
what they were hoping to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's-
he's like, they won't need me. They won't need us if they have him. So that was great. And yet, despite that, the two characters make up at the end, and you even have this sort of beginning of a potential redemption arc for the villain, which I thought was great to see as well. Yes, this is not a vengeful doctor.
No.
Supposedly he's left all that behind him, but we don't get to see it as often as this.
Well, you were waiting to see that, and you mentioned it last week. You wanted to see, the doctor like literally, tear the bad guys, literally have them get stuck as a scarecrow, or
family of blood them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
last
exactly.
week. And you saw that kind of anger in him this week, but he also,
but not at the villain.
No,
quote
not
unquote
at the villain, quote unquote. He was still a villain. He was still using people's energy to, power the ship and to tell the stories, and also to, he wanted to, take that ship and explode it and the gods at the expense of humanity. Because, when he would have destroyed the gods, he would have destroyed 8 billion people, type thing. And I, of course, going through my mind, oh my God, is that how the earth gets destroyed, type thing. So,
nope, nothing. There was very little like threads that we've been harping on all this time. Yes, we did see Mrs. Flood, but she was in a flashback. There wasn't any Pantheon stuff. There wasn't any end of the world stuff. It was just this nice story that I think is pretty accessible no matter where you are. Like if you're going to show someone an episode of Doctor Who, not a bad idea to start with this one.
Yeah.
I liked the intrigue of him trying to figure out Abby,
Mm-hmm.
and how she kept saying things of, "Oh, left your companion behind," and you're kind of like anyone that if you're like really into like that Doctor Who fandom, you're like trying to, your gears are going, who could you be? Who could you be? Are you a Tampa? Are you this?
There was an instance I thought maybe that Abby was Susan at one point. That it was just like, that.
Wow. Did you also think she was the Valyard? Did you also think she was
the Ronnie?
No, actually,
the Ronnie?
She was maybe another doctor.
She was also like,
no.
Oh my God.
But we did get another doctor in this one.
Did.
We did.
That was awesome.
That was amazing.
That was pretty cool. At first, I thought it was a little bit like it didn't really need it. Like it was a little sensational. But then the second time I watched it, I realized that it's important because for the ending to work. For the ending, for him to be an essential element of all these stories that are in this machine, because of everything that he's done throughout all of his lives and incarnations. It really is all about him. It reminded me of Douglas Adams, and there's a part in Restaurant at the End of the Universe where they capture Zaphod Beeblebrox, and they're going to put him in this machine. It's the ultimate torture machine because it tells you exactly how much you mean to the universe. And most people find it absolutely torturous because once they find out where their place in the universe, they go crazy. They go nuts. They can't handle it. But with Zaphod just comes out and goes, "Hey, I'm just this guy," like he's like, it just tells him everything that he already knew, which he is, for lack of a better word, phrase, he's the most important person in the universe. And you kind of get that feeling with the Doctor here. They don't come out right and say it, but it's pretty much there.
It was interesting, and I thought there was so much happening. I loved it. It fleshed out Belinda quite a bit to get a little bit of her backstory about what it was like, a daily thing with her being the nurse, and how she was trying to get out to see her mom and dad, I think, and the doctor.
It was her Nan's birthday.
The Nan's birthday.
Yeah, the Nan's birthday. And it was just like the doctor was like, and not the doctor on call was like, no, even though you're leaving, I need your help with this one. And, as she said, that it's always the nurses doing everything and the doctor's just standing around. So
that mirrored the barber's story. I mean, he was the one doing all the work.
Exactly. And
not
the gods.
getting the credit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I loved, how the barber was, trying to make it sound like he was this most feared being in the universe. And, I was these gods. And, it's like, no, you weren't. Yeah, I know these people.
We know you weren't.
Right. Ultimately, Abby is more important to his entire project than he is.
Oh, very much so.
Feeds into the nurse doctor dichotomy that the rest of the narrative is centered on.
And she's an actual god.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Well, a daughter of a god, but yes. And because if you read He Who Shall Not Be Named's sequel to American Gods, he's the child, the children are half human. And so it's very interesting. Is she half human or is she full god? That's always a good
wait for the spinoff.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and I think that would make an amazing spinoff.
That
truthfully.
would make an amazing spinoff.
So I think the characters are far reaching and everything. I also think the special effects in this episode were amazing. Again, this whole season, they've been knocking it out of the park with, the special effects, the spider, the Nexus, and even, like we said earlier, the screen for the animation and such was just awesome. And I loved the animation with the story before even the doctor got there about, how the doctor saved the burning village, and the fields. And I just thought that was beautiful. It truly, truly was.
Which, by the way, since we brought that up, let's remind people you can go out and read a prequel written by the same writer to the story that is all about the fire in the village and has beautiful artwork to go with it. So please go and find that. It really adds to the story.
The artwork in the story is actually a lot of the artwork that they showed on screen. And so but even more so. So you definitely can check it out, and we'll have that as a link in our show notes for you guys to check out. So definitely, please do check it out. There was a lot of good things in this. I loved the TARDIS, as soon as the doctor walked into the barber shop, the TARDIS freaked out and literally, and we got to see the LED lights actually do something than just stay white.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, and Belinda's like, my ears, and everything to it. But I loved how she was being proactive, trying to figure out what was going on. Sometimes, a companion would just like, I better wait till the doctor gets back to figure it out. Or, Tegan trying to fly the TARDIS to go to the, But
I do have to nitpick. As far as the TARDIS's redecorating goes, don't like it.
You don't?
No. It's everyone loves the round things. I like the homier version. I liked when it had a tree growing out of the middle of it. I like the Aldi's bookcase. I even the Whittaker sort of. It's too for Shooty to be all over the place. It's so sterile,
I could see that. But I'd love the round things. I've always It does have a jukebox, and
Yeah.
which is funny because it's the same jukebox that appeared in the second episode of Doctor Who, End of the World. So, a little bit of a callback, but it's interesting with it. And I also liked Belinda's reaction to the village. I loved, how she got overwhelmed with it. And, and she had to explain herself to the police and everything.
Little hand.
Yeah, that was me. So I'm going to ask you guys, did you guys notice the cameo by Captain Poppy?
Not the first time. Actually, then the second time I didn't recognize. I didn't have reference or callback to Space Babies on my bingo card at all this season.
No.
If at all ever.
Right. I didn't either. It was like, what?
And I don't know what that means. I feel like that's something that's going to be maybe important later, but I don't.
The booger monster's coming back. The booger monster's coming back.
That is one episode we did not need a call back to.
No.
I said that was Poppy.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they're just using the same child in a different role.
No, if you look on the credits, it's listed as Poppy.
I know. I am not thrilled.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes Russell can't help himself, right? He has to put something in there to sort of like.
Sometimes he's just a troll and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like you will like that.
Yeah, we know that's absolutely true. Russell likes to do that too. I did like, he did say that in the sort of making of thing that I saw, he did say that it was time to have the fugitive doctor appear or referenced in some way to sort of make sure that everybody knew that still is something that exists. Even though he kind of amended it a bit because they've got he can remember stuff that she did, which I think that's new, right?
Yes. Because with the 13th Doctor, literally, she didn't remember any of it, and she dumped
none of the doctors have.
No, but she dumped the fob watch. She didn't open it so she'd get her full memory back. She dumped it into the heart of the TARDIS or wherever she dumped it, into the trash compactor down in the whatever is in the heart of the TARDIS. So yeah, I don't know how she was able to, or he was able to remember her, because, or the stories about it, unless, because he saw, the Abbey, that it brought back his memory or something too.
Yeah, that's something that I don't know. Again, I don't think RTD is going to spend a lot of time on it. I think he's just
say because Doctor Who. That's always a good way to do it.
Yeah,
right.
I'm okay with it
because RTD.
Yeah,
because RTD.
Well, they open it up in what is the Brain of Morbius that shows the Musketeer Doctor and the weird Jack the Ripper Doctor on the screen and everything. So they left that open. I'm perfectly happy with it. Plus, it makes me mad, so that's also amusing.
Well, it makes the fanboys fume. It's perfect.
Exactly. That is something that RTD would do just for that.
Well, yes, very much so.
And I support him, frankly.
Amen, sister. Amen. I agree completely with that. So I enjoyed this, and there's just so many different moments and everything. I agree with you guys when you said, that it should have been extended or it was too busy. I felt like the guys who were originally stuck in the barber shop disappeared after Belinda got to the barbershop.
Yeah, we don't
kind of one note.
Know them.
Yeah, they're really just one note. They're just like red shirts, really. I mean, not that anything, not that they die or anything, but they're just taking up seats.
I mean, they tell us a little bit of their story, but it's not enough to really get to know them, and so they're kind of just not there after a while, which is too bad because I think they actually could have been interesting characters, but they just ran out of time, and that's happened a lot this season. I mean, they're trying to put so much into 45 minutes or however long it was, that you're kind of losing out on some of the side characters. They did it well. I mean, I think they did what they could do within the time constraints they had. But I wish they had been able to pad it a little longer so we got to know them better.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
I mean, they're not really like, they're not the story. So I'm not, I'm not super, and Doctor Who has a history of doing that. There's a lot of times where I'm like, that character is really interesting and that actor's playing them really well, or that actress is playing her really well. I'm like, I really want to find out more about, and you find out more about it. But that's what Big Finish is for. So, but yeah, it would have been kind of nice to, I mean, someone mentioned pacing, that it had some pacing issues, and I think that that did, and they jammed a lot, but I think ultimately it was still worth it. But like you said, Mike, you had to take a second bite. You had to watch it again. And fortunately, it's worth watching again and again.
Oh, it is. This is definitely one that I could see watching 3 or 4 times, and not all in a row, but definitely seeing it 3 or 4 times. And it was fun. And that's what I love about Doctor Who. It was a fun story. And I am so glad we didn't get Mrs. Flood at the end, walking into the barber shop and, oh, hello, boys. And,
thank God,
something like that.
But she was in it.
Well,
in the flashback.
For I'm here to get my pills. It's like, who cares?
I don't mind her, but do something with her already. Okay, you've been teasing her for 2 seasons now. This is enough. We have over. Let's get on with it.
Well, no, exactly. And
well, we've got 2 episodes.
Yeah.
we have technically, because we got 3 episodes left, but 2 stories.
Well, yeah, I think we're gonna find out a lot more about her in the penultimate episode of the season.
Yes.
Second to last, because that's how Russell usually plays it. So. And so I figure, just wait it out, because that's what RTD does.
Yes, I am your brother's roommate's girlfriend. What's that make us? Nothing.
Both Saxon, Bad Wolf.
Exactly.
There was a lot of signage in the market and on the walls that just said POS. And I was like, I don't know what that is all about. But if it was just something inherent to this story, or if it's something bigger, or what it refers to, but I just noticed it the second viewing. I noticed the first time too, but only in a couple spots. Second viewing, I was like, wow, this is here a lot, actually.
It's referring to Nigel Farage. It's not for us.
I kind of agree with that there. So there you go. All right. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one?
I should point out that trivia-wise, this is the second time a writer of the episode has acted in the same episode, because Inua appears as one of the market traders.
Yep.
And it's the second time that's happened in Doctor Who. The first time was when Mark Gatiss appeared in Victory of the Daleks.
Yeah, I was going to say Mark Gatiss did it quite a few times, appeared,
Can't help it.
But only once in the one that he wrote.
That's true. Yeah, but, we can't get enough of Mark Gatiss. Come on. Everyone loves Mark Gatiss. Come on.
Hey, man. Fantastic Four. He's everywhere this year.
Yes, he is. And here I thought he was going to be, Willie the Mailman in Fantastic Four, but no. So there you go. I know, hard sell. All right, let's go ahead and rate this. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Amy, I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going to go with a 4.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Mary.
I'm going to go with a 4.5. Only because of some of the pacing issues, but this episode is a great episode. I mean, please, people, go and watch it if you haven't, because
why are you listening to us if you haven't?
Yeah, this is such great storytelling, and it's not something we get to see nearly often enough. told from a point of view that has been greatly marginalized in this country, especially. So please go listen to other voices, open your mind, because it's so worth it. And also, I just want to give a shout out to the production values for this whole season. The makeup, the production design, the costumes, the special effects, the music. Murray Gold outdid himself in this episode. With callbacks to other doctors even, but they fit within the episode. And everything really came together here. It's just a beautiful episode.
That is awesome. That is pretty cool. All right. Mike W.
4 TARDISes and a cloister bell. I don't know what that means. It just came to mind.
That sounds good. That's good. All right. Reason why?
Nothing that's specifically that I felt it lacked. Mostly like everyone else said, I just think it could have been either bigger or smaller, one way or another. But I was happy with what I got. So
okay, awesome, Melanie.
I'm gonna go with 4.5. This was an amazingly, greatly sculpted episode, and I tend to rate higher, not just for when the writing is very solid. But again, to echo a little bit of Mary with the costume design, the scenery, the scenery. Not enough can be said, honestly, about having wigs and makeup that's for Black people, because that's one of those avenues that I was looking at. You don't see so many people making sure that you're seeing different hairstyles and whatnot for people of African descent. And I loved that she braided his hair.
Oh,
and it ended up being the maze.
I hadn't even gotten to that yet. And because, that was just when she was telling the story about, the slaves and such, and, how they weren't allowed to have paper or anything. Mm-hmm. And that they put maps into the hair, and then she did Shooty's hair that way, and it was just awesome. That was really, and the animation they used for that was even gorgeous, and the hair flowing through the scene and everything was just wow. All right, Mr. Gordon.
I'm also going to go with 4.5. I think it's the best one that we've gotten this season. It's the best episode that we've gotten, I think, maybe in all of Shooty's run so far. It was so different in terms of the way that, and I have to credit Russell T not only for, signing off and wanting to have Inua write a script, but also staying out of his way. Like, this doesn't feel like a Russell T Davies script. It doesn't feel like a Russell T Davies episode. And it's the first time since he's been back that it hasn't felt like that, except for maybe the Stephen Moffat one, because it felt so much like Stephen Moffat.
True.
So,
very, very true.
But this is coming from someplace completely different, and this is why I watch Doctor Who, to see different things, to see different perspectives, to see someone a hero who has compassion, even for the main villain, is something that I think this show should aspire to be every time. And it doesn't have to hit every time because it's hard to do. But here it comes the closest. The only reason I give it 4.5 other than 5 is because I do think that maybe if you're not into storytelling, if you're not into writing, if you're not into that sort of thing, I don't know how accessible this story is for you. And this episode will be for you. But it was for me. So
there you go. All right. I'm going to go straight out. This has been my favorite Shooty story so far. And you saw how far as he has evolved as an actor, how far he's evolved as the Doctor. And I'm going to give this my first 5 of the season. And I think it deserves it. I think it deserves awards. I think what Gordon said, it doesn't feel like an RTD episode. This feels like something completely different. And I think it shines because of that. And, the least Mrs. Flood we've gotten all season. And, that, pushed it up for me too. So, and would I like them to come back to these characters? Yes, I would love to see them come back sometime. Maybe not too soon, but I would definitely love to see these characters come back because they fascinated me. I wanted to find more about, these gods that are not Western gods, and they're African and they're from, other cultures. And, even, when they were talking, when he was saying all these different gods and the doctor was laughing at him saying, no, I know these people. And, I love the scene, he said, I sat with and watched all the MCU movies with, them and, and it was just awesome. There was just so much into it. And that made it. And then just the storytelling, the animation, even though I knew it was in a studio, I felt like I was in an African market, and it just was done really, really well. And that's what I wanted to see. So definitely, folks, I definitely recommend this one for you to do. We got a piece of email, and it's not from Elizabeth. Sad to say.
Oh.
Elizabeth is missing in action, but we have other listeners. We do.
At least
Thank
one
you.
other one.
One other words. This is written to us from Peter Manis. Peter, we actually met in Pensacola at Pensacon. And he wrote, first, I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the podcast. Always listening to it. My daughter and I met you at the last Pensacon, and we are also at the small Bill Morrison panel. We live in Pensacola, and I do love the new season, but this one left me a little confused. Not sure who everyone was. Was it part of the Toy Masters Legion? I found the explanations not all that clear, and also not sure where they were going. The ship acted a little bit like a TARDIS, but not sure what it was, and the spider was just weird. I thought Belinda did not seem to question much and acted like she knew what was going on. Was not my favorite episode, but keep up the great work, and I will keep on listening. Peter Manis from Pensacola, Florida. Thank you, Peter, for writing us. And those were very good points. And please, folks, if you want to write us, we definitely love getting mail, and we will read your email. And we're not shameful on this podcast at all. But, please, feedback at ourstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. Let's thank everyone for being here tonight. Of course, let's thank our guests for joining us. Amy, always great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And once again, how can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram or Facebook or any of the instas at Amy Lynn Best.
Awesome. And we'll have the links to your product, your magazine, and all that kind of fun stuff up there, because that's both you and Mike. So it's perfect. And while we're at it, Mike, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I love your shirt. The Muppets are awesome on there. That is really, really cool. So, but want to also thank our regulars for joining us. Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Oh, thank you. What an amazing season we're having. I'm so glad to talk about it.
The season has been amazing so far, and I'm looking forward to it. How can people find your work?
They can find my artwork at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Ms. Melanie D, we made it.
We did it! And we talked more Who, and I can't wait to talk more, 3 more episodes.
Exactly. We all get to sing in the next episode, which is even better.
Yeah,
So,
That's
exactly.
terrifying.
Yeah, that's a different kind of horror.
That is a true horror there. How can people find your stuff, Mel?
You can find me on Instagram at Pieces of Melee. That's more of my art. And you can see all my stained glass fun at Diamond Tech Crafts.
Excellent. Are you still running into all the stuff with the tariffs?
I am in tariff hell.
Oh.
I love every moment of executive orders and HTS codes, and I swear I have a future as a customs agent. Lord knows. If you have customs questions on tariffs,
This young lady here, you can email her at, no, just kidding.
No.
And Mr. Mike Gordon, we made it through another one, my friend.
We did. And as always, as it has been this whole season, my pleasure.
Anything you want to promote, my friend?
If you want to find out about all the podcasts that I'm part of, Bat Chums, and Dragon Con Report and New Legend Lounge, as well as all the books and things that I've got coming out, because I've got a new book. Well, I'm not like the only one in the book. I had the pleasure of being part of a anthology and essay book about Sherlock Holmes and different takes on Sherlock Holmes, and it's called I think 52 weeks and 52 home stories, and there's 52 of us that have essays in this, and I got to review a amazing Sherlock Holmes graphic novel that came out of France that I want everybody to find out more about. So check that out.
Awesome. Looking forward to finding that one. Let's see. Other than this podcast, of course, I'm doing, of course, the Tales from Hollywoodland podcast, where this time the guys go a little dirty and they actually talk about some of their favorite naughty scenes in movies or sexy scenes. And it gave me a headache most of the time, but it was fun to talk about. So you can check that out on Tales from Hollywoodland. And going the complete opposite direction on, of course, Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, we get to talk to Pat Boone, of all people. And, 91 years old and still feisty as heck. So it was pretty interesting to hear. And that, of course, will be all available wherever fine podcasts are found. So you definitely find it out. A little bit of side note from last week's show. Ashley Pauls is now part of the ESO network once again. And she released her first review in over a year and a half. So she is...
Ashley's back.
Ashley is back at ESO. So definitely it was great having her on the show last week. And it's going to be a ton of fun seeing what she comes up with her reviews and everything. So you can check that out on the ESO website or on the ESO Network Facebook group. Definitely check it out. She will be posting multiple places and, getting search engine optimized. I was teaching her last night how to do that. It was a ton of fun. So now if only the other podcast on the network would do it, but that's a whole different thing. If you made it this far into the podcast, please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Also, if you get a chance, check out our Facebook groups, check out our Instagram. And of course, we have the ESO Network Patreon, where this show goes live 48 hours before the rest of the world. So you can actually listen to us the day after we record, because I don't need sleep. What the hell? It's, editing, sleep. Who needs it? So yeah, definitely check it out. And for as little as $1 a month, you too can help support the ESO network. And we would really appreciate it. On behalf of all of us here on Earth Station Who, hope everyone's doing well. I know everyone is, getting excited. Summer's right around the corner for us in the Northern Hemisphere, or to our friend Kieran. Happy Christmas almost, folks, because winter is right around the corner. So, God, I'm going to sound like Game of Thrones there. Winter is coming. So, I don't want to even start with that. But thanks to everybody. We will see you next time here on Earth Station Who, where we will be talking all about the Interstellar Song Contest. Ooh, I can't wait for that one, folks. Peace be with you. Cheers, and everyone have good times. We'll see you next time on Earth Station Who. Peace. And we're done. Boom.
You've been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.